Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel, and I'm going to ask you very sincerely, are you ready for shit to really hit the fan? It's here, folks. It is coming faster and faster. This is not hyperbole. It's not bullshit. Yeah, I'm selling coffee cups. I don't even know if we have merchandising anymore. I just haven't looked. I know that YouTube keeps punishing us. Anyways, this particular cup, you guys have seen. On the back, it says, aren't you glad you are a prepper? Aren't you glad you're a prepper? I sure hope you're glad you're a prepper, because I'm looking around right now and I'm seeing everything we've discussed coming to pass, only worse. I mean, we're not in the thing where people are dying and getting killed on the streets and the government's turned on us, but the government has turned on us. They have sold us out. They've had us invaded. They're fucking up our energy system, our food system, our air, our water, our military, our schools, our education, our society, our culture, our laws, our constitution, everything. And it's not just the United States of America. It's everywhere in the world. So I happen to have a cup of delicious cafefe.com coffee right here. www.cafefe.com. They make the most deplorable cup of coffee. Delicious. And they're patriots. They aren't a bunch of soft sell trying to sell you on a bunch of bullshit. It's just good fucking coffee, and they're patriots. Now, we're going to leave that right there, and we're going to get into things I've read, things I've heard, things I've seen today. And I'm going to say, are you ready for this shit to get worse? Because it is. Our government, which includes the CIA, which includes DARPA, which includes the CDC, which includes everybody and everything who are doing anything that is against our will, our good nature, our law, right? Americans are finding boxes of ticks. Not that they're finding ticks. Ticks are everywhere. They're finding boxes of ticks. Ticks have been weaponized by none other than our own fucking government. And they're now being released on us by our own fucking government. And people are now going to hospitals because they're getting bit by ticks and they're getting sick. If you're an outdoorsman, if you're a sportsman, if you're a survivalist, we used to think, because I'm one of them, that hell, I'll just live in the jungle. I'll live in the woods. I'll live in the desert. No problem. Don't worry. The government is dropping fucking ticks everywhere. And the ticks have mRNA genetic material in them, and it is infecting people. Thank you, CDC. Thank you, Dr. Fauci. Thank you, DARPA. Thank you, government, for weaponizing. Thank you, pharmaceutical companies. I'm not recommending anyone do anything illegal, dangerous, or harmful. But when the time comes to punish these fuckers, they all need to pay. They all need to pay, and big time. Where to next? There are now physicians, doctors, scientists, researchers who are coming out worldwide, including the United States of America, and they're telling us, these are good doctors that said, I've been fighting this. I got fired. I lost my career. I lost my practice. I lost my contracts. I lost everything because I wouldn't inject my patients. And they're coming out and they're talking about people have been fired after the vaccination started because they said, we're just trying to report to the vaccine injury and we couldn't do it. So we asked for help doing it and got fired for it. There are physicians coming out now saying the vaccines, and all of them coming out, even for your pets, are going to have mRNA genetic modification garbage in them. And they make these spike proteins, which sounds nice. Hey, you can serve me a drink or a spike drink. Either way, I'm getting there. Well, this isn't like that kind of a spike. The spike protein damages tissues around it. It attacks your own tissue. Causes heart damage, pulmonary damage, neurological damage, and who knows what else. Obviously, it's causing a lot of colon cancer and digestive issues everywhere. They're doing it to us on purpose. And that's just one little piece of what's going on, folks. I was minding my own business today, trying to make a living. I picked up my phone, looked around. I've got a minute. I'm going to see what's going on. I see that the European Union is now advising one another, as well as the world, that in Europe, there are going to be food shortages. Let me repeat that. There are going to be food shortages. There are going to be ultimately food rationing. On top of them already telling us we're going to eat bugs. Already telling us we don't need to eat beef. Already killing the chickens, the hogs, the turkeys, the cows. They're trying to fucking starve us. Oh, it's not all at once, folks. No. We have food reserves, storage, freezers, and I'm talking industrial, corporate, massive food production freezers with millions, if not billions of pounds of frozen meat. Oh, all we have to do is lose power and have all that thaw out and go bad, right? A couple of well-placed bombs, a little bit of sabotage to the food supply, and it's adios amigos, go fuck yourselves. That's what they're planning. What's the excuse they're using for why the European leaders decided to come out and say, we're going to have shortages? We'll probably have to ration food. They are blaming the Strait of Hormuz being closed. They are blaming Iran. Iran never attacked Israel until Israel and the United States attacked them. And I have watched for weeks and weeks as Iran has tried to come to the table. The U.S. claims it's made a deal with them to open everything up. And then Israel bombs them. Israel bombs Lebanon. The United States sets up its own blockade. It violates the terms of the ceasefire just so they can close it back down and then blame the Iranians. The world knows it's Israel. Whether you agree with Israel or not, you know it's fucking Israel doing this. The Israelis know that they're doing it. They're going to fight who they want, when they want, and it's up to them, and they don't care what anyone else fucking says. You know what allows them to say that? Are you ready for this shit? The reason Israel can talk shit, do what they want, ignore the United States of America, is because they have nuclear weapons. Not from 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Not from 20 or 30 even. When they first started complaining that Iran was trying to make a nuclear weapon 40 years ago, guess who already had nukes? Israel. They stole plans. They stole material, enriched uranium. Back in the 60s, my friends, the 60s. This is all Israel's doing. And you know what? They like it. Israel has threatened the entire world, not just Iran, but they have the Samson option. Okay, what is this Samson directive that they have? Well, Samson is an Old Testament biblical character that one was trapped, contained, and chained in a temple of the Philistines. He, with the power of God, pulled the temple down, killed himself and everyone in the temple. So that's what the Israelis threaten the world with. Their Samson directive. If the world threatens them and they feel trapped, restrained, and chained, they're going to attack and kill everyone else. I don't know why that alone doesn't suffice to wake the world up and have them take some fucking action. Some action, any fucking action against Israel. Now, Israel has already told us through its leader, Bibi Netanyahu, that the United States owes its existence to Israel. They created us. Israel created the United States of America. No. Israel hasn't only been around since 1948. There were Jews before 1948. So is Netanyahu claiming that back in 1776 and then again in 1789 for the Constitution, the Jews created America? The Jews gave us our Constitution? Give me a fucking break. But what are they claiming if they're not claiming they were here and part of our government? By the way, the founding fathers warned, cautioned, and were revolted by Jews. Period. Let me continue. Folks, they are threatening us directly. They're threatening the world directly if they don't get their way. Now, over the last 30 days, we have had no less than 10 power plants, oil refineries, and oil wells, either deep water or on land, attacked and blown up. And I'm not talking about in Iran. I'm talking about elsewhere in the world. The United States of America, the Middle East, and Europe. We are having refinery after refinery explode. We are having electrical infrastructure, shall we say, power generation, distribution substations exploding. Even in America, an offshore oil drilling platform exploded. I think that was just yesterday. These things don't fucking happen, folks. They're creating a shortage of fuel, a shortage of energy, a shortage of electricity across the board, just across the board. Are you ready? Do you see what's happening? They're cutting off the fuel, the diesel, gas, oil, natural gas, liquid natural gas in the Middle East. And they're keeping and making sure, Israel is, by keeping the Strait of Hormuz shut, by continuing to violate any ceasefire or other peace agreements. They're creating this shortage to fuck us all, to hurt us all. I haven't even talked about the fucking Kalergi plan yet, or the protocols of the learned elders of Sion, or the Communist Manifesto, all Jewish documents that predated Israeli. So I can't call them Israeli documents. They're fucking Jewish documents. I am not a Nazi. I am not a socialist. I am not a communist. I want freedom. I love freedom. I love America. Wake people up to what's going on and who's doing it. And you can even explain to them why. So this idea of food shortages. Farmers need diesel. Farmers need fertilizer. I'm going to talk about them both now. Diesel reserves, and I caught this video today. Diesel reserves in the United States of America are at all-time lows. They're draining the fucking diesel. They're supposed to take oil, refine it, separate the diesel, and keep those tanks topped off for emergencies, for keeping our country going. We're supposed to have massive amounts of reserves, pipelines. We're supposed to have truckloads, tank loads everywhere, and we're running out. On top of that, we now have the Strait of Hormuz closed. And it's been closed, and it's going to stay closed. Iran has now said, fuck you guys, it's staying closed. Know why? Because you're liars. And it's not opening until our demands are met. No, folks, it's getting fucking stupid. Are you ready for shit to really hit the fan? So, I was talking about two things that come from the petroleum, the oil business. Diesel and fertilizer. Oh, you know about gasoline. We all know about gasoline. Diesel does what? Our electromotives, trains, are powered by huge diesel generators. They're diesel electromotives. That's how we move stuff around the country. How else do we move stuff around the country? Semi-trucks running on diesel. We're running out. Farms run on diesel. Tractors, water pumps. They have to pump water out of the ground, distribute it all over these industrialized farms that produce billions of pounds of food to feed humans and our livestock. Tractors don't run on air. Tractors don't run on water. Generators don't run on water. Pumps don't run on water. We're running out of diesel. Let's go to step 2, fertilizer. While I understand and recognize that NPK, standard basic fertilizer, all it does is increase the size of the yield, right? The size of tomatoes, the size of cucumbers, the size of an ear of corn. It promotes and grows stuff bigger. Not necessarily more nutritious, but bigger. Without fertilizer, we won't get as much wheat, beans, corn, tomatoes, carrots, whatever we fucking grow to eat, they won't be able to grow as much of it. Not just in the United States of America, but around the fucking world. Now, I wouldn't worry about this as much, and I'm going to say it. Normally, I wouldn't worry about this as much because I thought Trump was an American that loved America. He has demonstrated time and time again for the last 12 months especially that he is Israel's bitch. Trump said in a speech, "I'm not a Christian." Period. He was talking to Christians and then said, "I'm not a Christian," then started talking about Christians again. He's not a fucking Christian anymore, folks. If he ever was, he's certainly not now. I used to think that we could drill, baby, drill. The United States of America could take care of the United States of America. We have enough oil here in our own country without going to Venezuela or Mexico or anywhere else in the world. We got enough oil up in Alaska. We got enough oil in the United States of America. We've got enough oil coming from Canada, their oil sands. But that has to be brought to our country. It has to be run through an American refinery. Refineries are blowing up, being shut down, being canceled. We haven't built a new fucking refinery in how many decades? 4 decades? How are we supposed to, even if we have the oil, refine it to give us our gas for our cars, diesel for our farms, our semis, and our trains, and fertilizer to ensure that we're getting the maximum yield from our agricultural system? The Europeans already know they're fucked. Are you ready? Are you ready for SHTF? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and your plan. Now, in the next couple of weeks, I will be re-inventorying my food. I'm already re-inventorying my water capacity, water storage, and water filtration systems and tools. Without food, you're dead in a couple of weeks. Without water, you are literally dead in a couple of days. Typically, Florida, you'd say, no problem. We got water everywhere, swamps, etc. Well, they've been geoengineering, and we're now in a drought in Florida. Can you fucking believe that? Are you ready? I know where to go to get water when you don't see any. I know all about getting water in the fucking desert. Mountains, of course. Dry creek beds. Dried up ponds. I know where to go to get water. No one else does. There's going to come a time, possibly, if they are very serious about stopping us and killing us, and they are serious about stopping us as free people and killing us, maybe I ought to get into that. Let's see. Tell you what I'm going to do. I see a lot of capitalized stuff in here. A lot of capitalized stuff. I may as well just flip over to you guys. I'm only doing the one intro on this video because YouTube is claiming every day now that our videos are violating copyright law. Well, the video that was at the beginning of this, right, the intro video, was created by Jolene using their own royalty-free music. I'm going to see if they kill us on that. Essentially, they're doing everything they can to silence me, just short of just canceling the fucking channel. So I'm not going to do any intros for a while. I'm not going to do any outros for a while. I'm not going to do any transitional videos from my monologue to your guys' questions. Before I get to your questions, though, I've still got a few minutes before the half hour is up. I'd like to tell you how they're planning to kill you and why. Let's start with, when was the first time John heard that we're all supposed to die? That would be back in the 90s when I first read about the Georgia Guidestones, which have now been, well, demolished, blown up, hauled off, and disposed of somewhere. These Georgia Guidestones were massive stone edifices. They looked very much like a Stonehenge. And in 8 different languages, we had 4 stones, 2 sides to every stone. They had written out their rules, the Guidestones, to guide humanity. And the most notable line on there, and it was the same in all the languages all the way around. The most notable line was that humanity's population needed to be reduced to 500 million, never to exceed that, for the earth. That's not blowing up. I thought, well, that's going to be killing a lot of fucking people. About 90% of the planet's population. Now, the next clue I got was reading the book called Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. And it started out with the administrative head of the world talking to his administrative staff, younger folks. And his name was Mustafa. And I thought, why the fuck is a book written back in the 1920s or 30s by Aldous Huxley putting a freaking Muslim or a Muslim named person in charge of the entire civilized world? Well, now we know, don't we? Now we know, don't we? You know what that book never addressed? The elite above him. You know what the book did address? Christians who refused to live in their system, who were forced to live in the wilderness with absolutely no assistance or help from the civilized world. These mega cities that were part of the Brave New World, where you were a test tube baby, you were poisoned to whatever level of work they needed you in, and everyone else was disposed of after age 60. They determined how you were born, how you lived, how smart you were, how comfortable you were, and then when you fucking died. Brave New World. I realized, okay, so they hate Christians. They want to put Muslims in charge, and the elite will live like gods, and we'll never even hear from them. They won't live by any fucking rules. They'll do what they want. And then I read next. I read the Communist Manifesto back in the 80s, back before, I went to the Marine Corps. I already knew that the fucking communists were evil and satanic. I already knew that communists wanted to kill us all. What I didn't know, even though I knew Karl Marx was a Jew, what I didn't know was that Karl Marx's beliefs and his Communist Manifesto was created in order to have an institutional document for destroying and killing freedom and free speech and freedom of choice and private property ownership and everything. That's what this was about. He was a lazy motherfucker, Karl Marx was, and he wanted to live off of everyone else. So he invented communism, from each according to his ability to give, to each according to their need. A fucking welfare system that everyone else, all the goyim, all of the non-Jews are supposed to work so that they can have. Now, I learned later that that's exactly what he created and why. But then I learned about the protocols, folks, the protocols of the learned elders of Zion. The Zionists have been around, folks, for hundreds of years, scheming and plotting to take control. Before 1948, when the nation of Israel was created, there was this thing called the Kalergi Plan. So you got the Communist Manifesto created in the early 1800s. In the early 1900s, a fine Jewish gentleman named Kalergi created a plan to destroy all the enemies of the Jews. One of those ways to destroy them was to interbreed us with mongrels, low IQ, uneducated, inbred, stupid pieces of shit. Coincidence in the world. The coincidence in the world you live in, America, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, England, all of Europe. What are they doing? Importing low IQ, uneducated, inbred, stupid, murderous motherfuckers. And they're importing them into our country, and they're not prosecuting them, putting them in jail for rape, murder, theft, fraud. Nope. This is exactly according to the Kalergi Plan, which falls in line with the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, which falls in line with what? The Communist fucking Manifesto. And they're doing it right now at top speed. Are you ready for shit to hit the fan? Right now, in Ireland, they're about to revolt. In England, in places, they're about to revolt. In the continental Europe, I think we're up to 4 different nations who are putting together and saying, we are not doing business with Israel anymore, and we want the entire European Union to sign a piece of paper, a law, a rule, whatever the fuck they got in the European Union, that prohibits any of them from doing any business, any trade with Israel, because they're genocidal, they're anti-Christian, they're anti-white. Folks, their own documentation says that they hate white people and they want to kill us. I have listened to individual rabbis, and they're all over the internet, YouTube, X, Instagram, Twitter, that's X, TikTok, there we go. Name your fucking social media, BitChute, Rumble, the videos of these rabbis explaining to their congregation, explaining to the camera how they're here and they hate white people, they hate Christians. They don't call Jesus Yeshua. They call him Yeshu, which is a fucking insult, an intentional degradation and insult to Jesus Christ. They hate Christians. They're in Lebanon now, settling Lebanon. It's not a fucking open territory. It's not unsettled land. It's full of fucking cities and towns and Christians and people living in peace amongst each other. And they're in there with fucking tanks and helicopters and fucking jets and missiles and bombs, and they're blowing up fucking Christians. They're blowing up their houses and towns. They've knocked over 2 crucifixes with Jesus on them, and they're smashing the Jesus and taking pictures of it and fucking laughing about it. They write books that talk about getting rid of whites, white extermination, and that includes all of you black whites and all of you Hispanic whites and all of you Asian whites. They fucking hate the Japanese. I saw it today, the promotional picture of a Japanese piece of paper. It's got Japanese writing all over it. I can't read a fucking word of it. I love the Japanese. I can't read a word of their language. But it shows a black man, a Somali, a Nigerian, a fucking Pakistani, right? They put black skin on them. They draw that, and then they put a little Japanese woman next to them, encouraging them to interbreed, encouraging Japanese women to sleep with these foreign low IQ inbred fuckers. But at the very bottom, in the lower left-hand corner, is the star of Baal, the star of Moloch, the star of Satan, which is the star of Israel. And it's a paper that has been created by, well, the Israel Japanese. Geez, aren't we all good friends? They're trying to breed out the Japanese. They're trying to breed out white people. They're trying to breed out and destroy Christianity. Are you ready for shit to hit the fan? I have described to you the star of Rephaim. Thank you, Courageous Cat. You know, pick your fucking devil. Pick your Satan. Right? Too many times I have read, coming from rabbis that are alive today and rabbis that died years and years ago, saying that their God, the God of Israel, is Satan. The God of Israel is Lucifer. Right? The God of these people is the most fucking evil thing you can imagine. Look at what they're doing. Look at what they're fucking doing. The reason we're going into shit it's the fan isn't because our politicians are retarded. That's a side issue. The reason we're going into SHTF at this fucking level is because they all have taken bribes and payouts. They think that because they've converted to Judaism, Zionist, Talmudic Judaism, that they're now part of the in crowd. They're part of the club. So they're doing everything they can to fucking sell out, make all the money they can, and fuck us over and destroy our countries. They think their daughters are safe. They think their wives are safe. They think their property is safe. Guess what? You dumb fucks. They did this to Russia too. They did this to Russia. I'm going to take you back to 1910. The fucking Bolsheviks, who were Jewish students. The Bolshevik Revolution was growing and gaining steam and popularity because all of these Bolsheviks told the Russian poor, we're going to overthrow the rich and we're all going to become communists and we're going to share all the wealth the rich people have. Well, the Bolsheviks did just that, only they didn't share. They killed anywhere from 50 to 70 million white people and Christians from Ukraine in the West all the way to the fucking Pacific Ocean and Alaska on the east. The reason that it's such a wide number, why the Christian Holocaust isn't reported, is because the Jews, Israel, don't want anyone to know that they did that. And we don't know if it's 50 or 60 or 40 million Christians, because it's not like they fucking tallied up the count as they were killing them. They just fucking threw some dirt on them or dug a big hole and chucked them in it, and that was it. But entire areas, entire populations were disappeared. It's unfucking believable, folks. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to get into your guys' stuff. This is not an anti-Torah Jew thing. This is an anti-Zionist thing. The Zionists claim to practice Judaism, but they don't. They practice the Talmud, which is a fucking satanic translation of all things in the Bible to give Jews 100% justification for theft, fraud, rape, murder, pedophilia, homosexuality, etc. Okay, I know the difference. The problem for any good Jews is you are going to be thrown to the lions first by your own people. Okay, anyways, let's do this. Diving Frog says, John, did you see the veterans protest at the Capitol, at the Washington, D.C. Capitol? The establishment better start waking up because the people finally have. Okay, today at the Capitol in Washington, D.C., hundreds of veterans and hundreds of the families of veterans And some of these veterans were disabled, missing limbs, legs, arms. They're fucking disabled and fucked up. But they were there to protest one thing. That thing is that the United States military is being used to fight the wars of Israel. Hundreds of people showed up, went inside the Capitol Rotunda, and stood there and held a red tulip, which is a remembrance of the blood that has been spilled in Iran now. And guess what? They were being arrested. The government better wake the fuck up. The government better wake the fuck up. These were peaceful people. They weren't rioting. They weren't screaming and yelling. They weren't breaking into offices. They weren't trying to shut down Capitol business. But the government can't have that, can they? What happened to fucking free speech? What happened to the First Amendment? The right to peaceably assemble. The right to redress your government for grievances. Well, our government doesn't give a fuck, do they? No. Are you ready for shit to hit the fan bigger? Because it's coming. They were arresting these people. Oh, yeah. Now, in conjunction with this story, thank you, Diving Frog. And I want everyone to share this fucking video. Get the internet address when it's public. When it's public, fucking share the fuck out of it, because people need to wake up. There is one congressman who came out today, and he said there's two solutions. Either the government fixes itself, or we, the people, use the Second Amendment to fix it. I am paraphrasing to save time. He was more eloquent than me. But we have two remedies. Our government does what it's supposed to and obeys the fucking Constitution and their oaths, or the people have a right to throw off tyrannical government and replace it to secure our rights for future generations. We're getting that fucking close. In addition to this, on the weekend, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff was called to the White House. And it is being reported, and I cannot confirm this because you think the government's going to tell you the fucking truth. It's been leaked. And video of said chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff leaving the White House, pissed off because the government, the Trump, demanded the nuclear codes because he wants to launch a nuclear strike against Iran. If that's true, if that is true, the fucking man is insane as fuck. And he's off his fucking rocker. And Congress isn't doing a fucking thing about it. And the Senate, they can't do a fucking thing about it anyway. It has to wait for impeachment, then convict and give him a sentence in the Senate. I had a friend ask me today, how the fuck can we fix this? I said, well, Congress has to impeach and the Senate has to convict and punish. Or the people of the United States of America take up arms, which is completely justified and lawful, according to the United States Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. And there's a third way. And I think this is becoming possible based on this thing about veterans, of which I am one and many of you are as well. Veterans and Americans take up arms and they go and they march on Washington and they take it back. If the police want to stop them, you are now authorized to shoot those police. I'm not telling them to break the law. I'm saying what people may do, could do, or are authorized to do. If the government is tyrannical and it tries stopping you, you can take them out. I'm not telling anyone to do anything illegal. I'm saying this is the rules of the game. Kind of like an onside kick. You don't recommend it in football, but occasionally it happens. All right. People go all the way to Washington. Is the government going to set state police, National Guard, the military on us? We have a right to run this country. We have a right to know where the fucking money goes. We have a right to know all the fucking secrets that they've been keeping from us. We have a right to it all. The Epstein files included, every fucking thing. Those are the three ways this can be fixed. Congress isn't doing its job, right? The military, if Trump is committing treason, the military can remove him. They can arrest him and hold him. Congress, if they're committing treason, the military can arrest them They would call it a coup d'etat. No, it's called a fucking constitutional crisis because these fucking cocksuckers in Washington, D.C. are no longer obeying their fucking oaths. This is where it's all going, folks. Are you ready for shit to hit the fan? And if nobody does anything, if Congress continues to fucking suck, if the military doesn't understand their role and fails to act, and we, the people, are incapable of it, then the government is going to come down on us like a ton of fucking bricks with fucking chemical ticks, chemical mosquitoes, fucking our air up, fucking our water up, destroying our food, so they can get their Kalergi plan in motion. Are you prepared? Veterans have woken up. We're all awake. Let's do this. With respect to food, Robin writes in, let the farmers grow big crops like wheat, and the rest of us can grow a victory garden of our own using composting methods. I strongly recommend you go to the preparedmind.club. I used to have a section on there, and I believe we still do, that goes to heritage seeds. So you can grow tomatoes and squashes, pumpkins. These are all big volume foods, right? As well as softer cucumbers and smaller squashes. By squashes, I meant like a butternut squash, spaghetti squash, pumpkin, right? They last anywhere from 6 months to 18 months. I've done it myself. You grow them, you harvest them, you store them, right? Also, beans, tomatoes, whatever you can get seeds. But as far as getting things like corn, you can grow corn, but it's obvious and it's easy to see. Victory garden is just a big out of control fucking garden. Plants, flowers, bushes, shrubs. But you can hide. And I called this guerrilla farming, and I went over it years ago. Guerrilla farming is camouflaging your garden, your vegetable garden, so that you can grow food and people won't be able to easily see it. Now, composting methods help, yes. No meat products in compost, just vegetable waste, vegetation waste. You can compost it, and it helps with the shall we say the ability for your garden to thrive. Learn to garden, in other words. Thank you very much, Robin. Let's continue. We got Robin says, meet our objections, and I'm ready to bring the troops home and close the bases. I would like to see that. I would like to see Iran meet our needs and the United States of America to satisfy what Iran wants and get the fuck out of the Middle East. Close all the bases. It's already happening. It's in motion. You and I look at things. We go, oh, that's untenable. That's not going to work. It needs to end. But you can't just shut things down super quick. Last time they did that, Biden pulled out of Afghanistan, left $84 billion in military equipment and improvements, including weapons, helicopters, tanks, bombs, rockets, missiles, ammunition, guns, uniforms, fucking air bases for the Taliban. For the Taliban. We need to orderly get our shit out of there and let them protect themselves. Let China protect them, whatever the fuck in the Middle East. But Trump and his masters in Israel have fucked the United States out of the relationship we had with these oil-producing nations, which allowed us to buy their oil cheap, sell American oil expensive overseas, which of course enriched the fucking oil companies. And it was supposed to enrich us, the American people. Still not rich here. Checking my watch. Nope, not rich yet. Waiting. Right? We always get fucked. Oh, all those tariffs that Trump was charging, resulting in higher prices that we paid. We're supposed to get a fucking tariff payback. Well, you're not getting that tariff payback. In fact, Trump has to pay back all those fucking monies that were charged in tariffs. But you are not going to get a fucking check for the higher prices that you had to pay as a result. Nope. Getting fucked left and right. Why do I get the strangest feeling that Barron Trump is a sleeper cell? Two things on Barron Trump. I suspect, because it has been alleged that Barron Trump is the insider trader who is getting information from his dad about 20 to 30 minutes before every fucking major announcement since going to war with Iran. Somebody has either shorted or gone long on stocks and completely and totally leveraged it. Meaning you put in $1 million, you get $20 million worth of benefit. You're only allowed to go the wrong way 5% and you're wiped out. But he is 11 for 11 now, trading billions of dollars on the stock market. The price of oil goes up because Trump said something. This fucking person made billions. The price goes down because Trump said something. Peace. Someone makes a fucking boatload of money. War, peace, every fucking time. 11 times now, folks. I think it's Barron Trump. It's been alleged as Barron Trump. On top of that, there is a particular Epstein video out there where one of Epstein's buddies glad hands and shakes hands with Trump and Epstein, and this guy's about 6'10". How could Trump, who is not 6'10", have a son who is 6'10"? Melania had a lot to do with Jizzy Maxwell and the Epstein gang for years before she was married to Trump. In fact, Trump was fucking Melania before he divorced his wife. Interesting. Why did a college student in Florida get arrested on a felony count for speaking out against Netanyahu? Well, this college student in Florida has been arrested and being charged with felony anti-Semitic threats to Netanyahu because she was in a private chat group with others and made jokes about Israel putting some bombs out there to blow some shit up. And so a judge who happens to be Jewish or Israeli, if you will, wasn't going to let that go. They're throwing the fucking book at this college girl for making a joke. In other words, you can't be an anti-Semite. It's a crime to be anti-Semitic. Now, people reading that, some people read a threat. Other people read a joke. Some people read a little of both. Wishing that someone would plant a bomb to blow up members of the Israeli government. Wishing for that, joking about that is not a legitimate threat. Unless this girl knows somebody that's a bomb maker that knows how to make improvised explosive devices, I don't see that as a viable threat. Now, saying shoot somebody, anyone can get a gun. That's believable. But blowing stuff up, it is not easy to make a bomb, folks. I don't care what anyone says. I've had combat veterans come back from Afghanistan, Iraq, and tell me, oh, it's easy to make bombs. No, it's not. It's specialized. Well, you need to have this and this and that, and then you can do it easy. I'm like, that's not easy. Now, how did these fucking people get trained to make IEDs over there? Because they were trained by professionals who showed them what equipment, what electronics, how to do it, and that's what they did. You can't just take an American off the street and say, go make a bomb and have them do it. It's not how it fucking works. Okay. Anyways, this same judge that arrested or is throwing the book at this college student, there was a criminal in the state of Florida, multi-time arrested and convicted felon, appeared before the same judge who let him off light. Nope. It's because they need criminals committing crimes for their Kalergi plan to work. They need to have rapists and murderers on the street, but they can't have an anti-Semitic, anti-Israel student out there making a joke on the internet in a private chat room. These fucking people, folks, know who they are. Diving Frog writes, John, Trump had to be removed by the generals Saturday night because Trump was trying to access launch codes for nukes against Iran. Yeah. Oh, Trump had to be removed by the generals. Okay, I've heard it. The general said no to Trump. That's all I know. And then I've seen the video of the general walking out. It wouldn't surprise me if Trump was being a fucking loudmouth who can't take criticism. Everyone knows this. And he's getting trolled every fucking day by the Iranians. Trolled with anti-Trump, retarded Trump, drunk Trump, Trump Israel's bitch Lego movies. Yeah. He tried to access launch codes. I see that. I see that a little differently. I see that as an attempt to start a nuclear World War III. And it's an act of treason. Because it's not just asking for it. It's not just saying, should we? But a demand for the launch codes when you're in a position to be able to launch that is completely unjustified. Now, a lot of people on the Israeli side of the aisle like to say, well, the United States used 2 nuclear weapons. No, they were atomic bombs, different than nuclear weapons. Megatons versus kilotons. Kilo meaning thousands of times bigger. Okay, 1 atomic bomb took out Hiroshima. 1 atomic bomb took out Nagasaki. Not nuclear kilotons. These were atomic megatons, 20 megatons, 20,000 tons of TNT. Yeah, that's a big fucking bomb. But the Israeli side of the Kalergi U.S. government said what? Well, you use that to stop the Japanese in World War II and ensure that they behaved, right? Yeah, that's their justification. Do it again. What the hell? What the fuck? Why not? Let's get it done. Let's eliminate our enemies and fuck them up. Oh, that's also, folks, why the Israelis want to do the Kalergi plan on Japan. Because you notice I said Europe, white, England, white, Canada, white, America, white, New Zealand, white, Australia, white. Why are they going after Japan? Oh, because Japan was allies with Hitler in World War II. Okay, let's go to this. We got Chin Music checking in. And he said, John, at your encouragement, I started researching all things Semitic. I know that I encouraged you, Mr. Chin Music. I know that our conversations, private and in person, which were private conversations, touched on the subject. This was just a year ago. And I said, I need you to research it for yourself. These are the things I've seen. Check them out. See if they're true. See what you think. I know that I did that. And I know that I encourage you to start researching all things Israel, protocols, Kalergi, communism, Karl Marx, the fucking Holodomor, the fucking Bolsheviks, right? Okay, that's what I encourage everyone to do. So he says, at your encouragement, I researched them. Boy, did I learn. We have been lied to for decades by our own pastors. That would be the Judeo-Christian belief system that wasn't anything American or Christian until it was created by, you got it, a Jew who wanted Christians to support their movement, their demand for their own country, and their nation once they stole it from the Palestinian state. Yeah, there was a country called Palestine before Israel got there. I'm sorry, before the Jews got there and started calling it Israel. Research John Nelson Darby, the Schofield Bible. Wow. Does everyone remember Pat Buchanan? Pat Buchanan was an American politician and patriot. He was a Republican. He was so powerful in the Republican Party that he was able to run for president, I think in 80, 84, and 88, possibly in 92, I can't remember. But he said back in the 1980s, in front of God and the world, back then, folks, over 30 years ago, Pat Buchanan said, Congress is controlled by Israel. And he did not have colorful, nice things to say about the Jews of Israel. In the 1970s, Richard Milhous Nixon, President of the United States, talked about Israelis and Jews and that they are not trustworthy, they are disloyal, they lie, they'll stab you in the back, and they only care about themselves. That's all paraphrasing. Paraphrasing. You can go watch the video or listen to the audio on the internet. Now, I've covered the 80s. I've covered the 70s. Oh, additionally, Nixon. Nixon was run out of office. He was set up. He was framed. He was used and then disposed of. In the 1960s, prior to Kennedy being killed, Israel, the newly formed state of Israel, remember they were formed in 1948, immediately created 3 terror organizations, which eventually came together and became the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force. They started that in the late 40s, 1948. They went through the 1950s and were demanding nuclear weapons for themselves from John F. Kennedy, who told them no. John F. Kennedy refused to go kiss their Chabad Lubavitch Moloch Baal wall and worship their God. Nuclear secrets were stolen. Spies were arrested. Spies were killed. Back then, folks, while everyone was on the McCarthyism, the red threat, the communist threat, which was and is and always will be a Jewish creation, communism, while they were pushing that and scaring people, the state of Israel was over here trying to get nuclear weapons. They got the plans. They fucking stole them. They got their spies, and they stole uranium. And they have secretly created weapons of mass destruction that are not regulated or inspected by the International Atomic Agency. Okay, the International UN thing, the IAEA. Okay, everyone else on the planet, the Russians, America, France, England, Pakistan, India, their weapons are not inspected. We don't know how many they have. We don't know where they're at. I don't even know if they work. But they stole. They wanted nukes. So I've talked about Pat Buchanan in the 80s. He knew all about Israel, and so did all the other politicians. I talked about Nixon in the 70s. He knew all about the Israelis and the Jews and how they behave. And so did all the other politicians. And in the 60s, Kennedy knew all about them. And as a Catholic, he refused to kiss their wall and kiss their asses. And he got shot in the fucking head. Go back into the 50s. And you got people, the McCarthyites, right? The people who are totally against communism, the red threat, right? Russia, the Soviet Union. They were also against the Israelis. And there are interviews. I believe one of the fellows' names is Rockwell. Now, once again, I'm not a socialist. I'm not a communist. I am for tiny, small, limited government, freedom and liberty in the Constitution. But back then, there were American Nazis. There were American hardcore freedom people that did not want to give Israel money, weapons, or nuclear. And they got them all. They've been controlling our government for decades. Like I said, you go back to Nixon. 55 fucking years ago, folks. Openly discussing it. Nixon had a big mouth. Nixon had a big mouth. And I think that is a big part of what cost him his life. Courageous Cat says Palestine was called Syria Palestina, and it was a name given after the sacking of the temple in 70 AD to remove all remembrance, not of Israel, of the Jews. It was not called Israel. There were Israelites, and that was just the name of people. But then there are the Hebrews, and then there's the Jews in the Old Testament. Are the Israelites the same as the Hebrews? Are the Israelites the same as the Jews? Read your Bible, folks. Pick up your Old Testament. You're going to turn a lot of pages in the Torah before you get to the first mention of the Jews. It's like all of a sudden we're calling them the Jews. Why? Oh, what a tangled web they have weaved. And their intent was to deceive. God bless America. May God protect and heal our country and destroy our enemies. God bless America. God bless you all. Please tell people to wake the fuck up. I'm not ready for SHTF, folks. I'm ready, but I don't want it to happen, but it's coming. Get prepared. Help your neighbors, your friends, your family, and your coworkers. I'm going to keep doing this. This is my message. This is my role to play in all of this until it gets fucking nasty. Thank you all for supporting me and the efforts. Thank you all for supporting me in the efforts and helping others wake up and get food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and a means of self-defense. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.